Right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And I am Virtue, being joined by, of course, Big Vito LaGrasso. What's going on?
Not much, man. How you been?
Good.
I seen you were eating something new yesterday with your girlfriend, and
Shrimp, yeah.
she threatened to fight me. Meet her afterwards. It was cool.
Shrimp tacos and cocktails.
Man, I'm telling you, you've been eating like a champ.
They were good too. Oh man.
Have you since this relationship? Have you been going to the gym and working out and keeping buff?
I've moved, no, but like I'm doing stuff around the neighborhood, the condo facility, and I'm pretty active at work. So I'm trying to keep energy levels up that way.
You're trying to keep your pimpness, there.
Yeah.
I get you.
What's up with you? I mean, we got to talk about wrestling, man.
All right. With me, I'm just dealing with life in Florida and the COVID outbreak and trying to keep things in perspective. It's real tough right now. Hopefully, I know it's going to get a little worse, but it is what it is, and we move on. So, David, we have a great action-packed show. We got a lot of things happening. Go ahead and kick it off for us this week.
All right. Well, let's do this one first. So, Karrion Kross did lose the NXT title to Joe.
Yes.
Last Sunday at NXT. And he appears to officially now be on the main roster only. He still doesn't have Scarlett. He's coming out now in like a mask, suspenders, like a whole get-up, right? This has got to be Vince McMahon. So, from your perspective, what's your take on like Vince tinkering with gimmicks, with looks, like a Karrion Kross, like Baron Corbin, who went through that poor phase, like stains on his shirt, every misfortunes, bad luck, and then all of a sudden now he comes out on SmackDown this past Friday, happy Corbin, like happy, and everything's changing. This is all Vince McMahon stuff. Remember Apollo Crews or what Apollo all of a sudden had a Nigerian accent? Like, what is Big Vito's take? And the reason you're the best man to ask because you were told to wear a dress.
Right.
On these gimmicks, these like what Vince McMahon envisions some of these wrestlers to portray on TV.
When you're NXT, the thing I can't get my hands around, when you're NXT champion, you're going strong. You're the most over on that product. And they have you do a dark match without your valet, and you lose. He just loses. Backdoor, comes back, he loses again. Now, then when they get him back to NXT, they give him this cockeyed gimmick, which I don't know what they're trying to. It looks terrible.
And you're referring to Karrion Kross, obviously.
Karrion Kross. It looks terrible. No valet. Did you piss in somebody's Cheerios? That's what it seems like to me. You went from being a monster with a valet, great entrance, good look, then you look like a fool and you're coming up and you lost all your charisma and swag. He's definitely different. And like I always say, you cannot change gimmicks on inexperienced wrestlers who don't have time in the business. They don't know how to cope and change on the fly. It takes years and years of experience to do this. He doesn't obviously have the experience.
Now, with you saying that, I've been fairly entertained with that whole Corbin thing. It's over the top. Yeah, he lost that crown to Nakamura from the King of the Ring. But then he went through that, slovenly havoc, whatever, phase. And now all of a sudden the luck is changing. And he's been around a while. So would you think that maybe that's kind of working? And the reason why I say that, Vito, I see a lot of people, fans on social media, putting it over. I haven't seen much hate for the Corbin stuff.
The Corbin stuff is working because he was an arrogant son of a bitch when he was king of the ring.
Yeah.
And then for him to go to the rock bottom, right? Okay, I get that idea, but this kid didn't even start out of the gate. And Baron Corbin is an established superstar on a brand, so the people can recognize it and follow it. This Karrion Kross has no storyline or backup. He's an NXTer. So,
yeah.
And the fact he beat Ricochet is no big deal because Ricochet was once supposedly the golden boy. And what is he now? He is nothing much on either brand. He's lost in the shuffle.
Dude, this is going to tie in to our next topic perfectly, talking about what's happening with Karrion Kross, because did you see the new NXT logo that just came out, the teaser for it? It's like rainbow colors. And here's what I immediately thought. Like, some people were saying they were mocking something from AEW. When I saw that new NXT logo, Vito, and I saw those colors, and I saw the way that little teaser trailer was for it, I immediately thought of New Day. New Day was a Vince McMahon created faction and gimmick that he didn't quite get over initially, but you know how it finally did? And
right.
Then he's been behind that, like bootios and shirts and all kinds of stuff. That's what Vince McMahon wants from his developmental. So here's the next topic. They're no longer signing independent wrestlers, allegedly, and we know that NXT is now going to change in some way. There's that new logo, and remember how FCW was before NXT was a thing. What do you think's happening here?
Well, I want to say hello to the guys in the chat room. How's everything going, guys? My take on this, when I first saw the new logo, it looked cartoonish.
Yes.
Very cartoonish. Where is the brand going? They keep saying in the entertainment business. Cartoons are entertainment. They are going to try and make characters come out of this NXT, developmental. The thing with him not signing wrestlers and developing his own people, that's good because he could find athletes who are larger than life, 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". The independent wrestling scene does not have anybody like in a 1,000-yard vicinity of each other that has anybody with those kind of credentials or body. So what do? You got to change gears. Like I said last week, I think FCW was meant to be to develop their own talent instead of using WCW guys. Here's the catch.
Yep.
I'm going to give it to you. If he's going this route, and this is strictly a business thing, they control your merchandise. They give you a 0.5 or 1% when you go in. You're on the low as far as salary. You're happy to be there, 50,000, 52,000. If I only had a chance to do this, I'll sign anything. What happens if the WWE makes these guys sign no compete clauses for 2 or 3 years after they're trained, developed, and released? That means they completely own these wrestlers. Yeah. For it to never happen again, this should be a clip, because this is what I see happening. They're bringing in not smart people in the wrestling business, untrained, to get them on the cheap and have control, like a rookie deal in basketball and baseball, and carry their bird rights, which this would be the McMahon rights. And this way they have ownership for at least 5 years, 2 or 3 years off TV. And at that point, you're starting a new whole life.
You remember Vince McMahon, this was before NXT. He tried to bring in bigger guys to make them work out, and they didn't really pan out. I'll give you a couple examples. Heidenreich, Nathan Jones, right?
Heidenreich and Nathan Jones were not athletic.
Yeah.
They were big guys.
Yeah, but that was what Vince was trying to. Vince was hoping he'd find a needle in a haystack.
Those guys were non-athletes and they weren't agile enough to conquer the wrestling game.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the knowledge to transition their bigness into wrestling. That's the most politest way I could say it. And that's the truth. And you're not trying to insult anybody, not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. But sometimes when you go to a job, you think you have everything, you have to learn. And if you don't learn it, it shows in what the finished product is.
Yeah. And, some people on Twitter said, wow, this looks like it's going to be Sesame Street. Somebody in the chat was like, because of the colors of that logo, they're like, oh, WWE is going to, do their shot at the LGBTQ community. I mean, well, it's very
Nickelodeon though to have those colors.
Well, Nickelodeon was always orange to me, but any like slime splat or paint, that was always like, yeah, like a Nickelodeon or something like that. And that's what it comes across as, cartoonish.
That's exactly what I thought, cartoon.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, that's my look at it. That's my take.
Well, you're gonna love this next one. So we're gonna move away from that. We're gonna go back to someone that's on the main roster. He's currently a champion, a tag team champion with Randy Orton. How I read every, from the dirt sheets and how I'm watching this guy on TV with the goofy. We're talking about Matt Riddle,
right?
The goofiness, the scooter, in Vince's marketing, like let's sell unicorns for New Day, let's sell toy scooters for Matt Riddle, let's sell masks for Nikki Ash. Right, trying to market to kids. Matt Riddle, who is in a good spot for him on Raw, and Raw's. By the way, Vito, Raw did over 2 million last week. That was interesting. I don't know. That must have been the fallout from SummerSlam. Right. But Riddle has been doing these interviews, and we know he's said things before about Goldberg, Lesnar. He's a trained UFC fighter with a winning record. Once held the most strikes ever thrown or landed, one of the two, in UFC. I think that's since been broken. So we know he's a tough guy for his weight size. But he talks about wrestlers, and he just recently said Roman Reigns doesn't move the needle, who's the WWE's top guy. Is Riddle going into business for himself? Or is this something like Pritchard or Laurinaitis or Vince is feeding him to be a prick? So that when you do those interviews, be kayfabe and say whatever you want. I don't care, pal. It'll get attention. Because Riddle has a track record of this. And I want to hear your take. Some people hate it. Some people kind of like it. What do you think?
When you're in the company and you talk about what is there and you just became a champion, right? This is your brand. This is what's making you money. Now, RKBRO, you remember RK. You're in that spot with the rub from Randy Orton.
Yep.
Right? Now, you had your run-in with Goldberg because maybe you don't like him. Maybe you have a thing for his work. The thing of respect your elders, respect the veterans is not put in this parentheses here. So that rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Coming out and saying, I can beat you up. You don't move the needle. Guys, I didn't like that. You should say Roman Reigns is a great champion. Hopefully we can connect sometime in the future to see who's the man. You didn't bury the guy.
Yeah.
You didn't say I could beat you up. There's going to be a time when Riddle is going to come across the wrong guy. He's going to get cracked. He's going to get knocked the fuck out. He's going to fucking have it laid out. I'm not saying it will happen, but Joey Styles, JBL. And JBL was a bully and a prick for years
That's
until
true.
somebody had enough and said, I'm going to knock you out in the most embarrassing position you could be in. There was the guy in the mask. Who was the mask guy who used to get into all the fights in WWE? Sin Cara.
So I was gonna. Okay. Yep.
Sin Cara. He's undefeated in backstage fights. Don't mess with some people, right? You could talk about who's the days of the shooters and who's tough are gone. And when you're coming out and portraying, I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to kick your ass. I think Goldberg had a full shot in his face, the blast. I definitely think he could hurt him. Roman Reigns, never, ever. He's doing his persona, his gimmick, right? Yep. It's respect, it's family, it's tradition, it's show your respect to me, bow down. That's one thing. He never comes across as arrogant. He does his character for what he's being portrayed. He never ever has anything bad to say about nobody. He's very humble when it comes to being a family guy and all this other stuff. Moving the needle, I haven't seen Matt Riddle or Riddle, main event on Raw or SmackDown or a WrestleMania yet. So Roman Reigns has got to be doing something, because where did the two top stars go to? Becky Lynch and Brock Lesnar went over to SmackDown.
Yeah, good point.
So if Brock Lesnar was going to go to SmackDown, right? He showed up on Raw. Now, could it be the reason Brock Lesnar didn't go to Raw is because he has beef with Randy Orton? It made it two of them have to be separated. Anybody ever think of that? Maybe Brock Lesnar has beef with some of the people on the Raw team, and he wants to go, and they're putting him with SmackDown. Moving the needle now, Roman Reigns, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman. I don't see Matt Riddle in that one, and I could see Roman Reigns main eventing WrestleMania real soon, while Riddle is in the middle of the card or maybe the opening match.
Well, Roman's already closed 5 WrestleManias, and you know how he gets all that hate because he was pushed too early, the successor to John Cena. So, Vince McMahon's guy.
Right.
Ratings for Raw went down during Roman's era, even though you and I both know there's a lot of factors to that, such as streaming and social media and the way that fans today watch wrestling, because wrestling across the board, TV rating, the highest rated show of all of wrestling is SmackDown, right? And yes, it's low compared to where things were 5 years ago at like 2.1 million, and that's Roman's show, but it's still the highest than any other show in wrestling, and the closest is Raw. So it's like, okay, Roman's still the bar, right, for top draw.
But talk about standards. Bars, right? There's a question here in the chat. Any marriage advice for upcoming wedding this Saturday? Good luck. Be faithful, right? And always remember the word sacrifice. Because if you have to, you're always going to have to sacrifice something to make things work.
I wonder if that's Big G from No DQ, because, Vito, I'm going to Pennsylvania this weekend to be in his wedding Saturday. I wonder if that's who that is.
It's big. It's the big 0429.
Yeah, 049. Yeah, it might be. So, anyway, Riddle now has a track record of saying things, Lesnar, Goldberg, Reigns, and if that's his way of trying to lobby into the main event one day, or thinking he's earning Vince McMahon's respect by saying stuff about the top guys, we'll see. We know, from people that have worked with Vince McMahon, like Russo, we know Vince is kind of quirky, and he put up with Shawn Michaels shit for years and always had Shawn at the top of the car. You know what I mean? So we never know what Vince McMahon is thinking and who he likes, but whatever.
I just got to say that, when I hear guys saying that, like I could beat you up. You're talking to the heavyweight champ at a company. If you could beat him up, why aren't you the heavyweight champ? Why aren't you in those championship matches? I don't like that narrative, and I don't like the way that comes across. You could do anything else, but don't knock the the other brand's champion, and
Yeah.
don't say, "Oh, I can kick your ass," because you know what's going to happen. They're going to put you in that position. They're going to make you fight Roman Reigns. Doesn't look like he's going to win, and you're going to do the job. That happens.
That's true. And of course, for all we know, Matt Riddle, because he was in UFC, he's got a big head and like, I can whip anyone's ass. I don't care what I say. If it gets me fired, I'll just go work for the competition. I don't know what these wrestlers today think.
I bet you $1 million AEW wouldn't touch him, and neither would Impact.
Really?
I don't see him going over. Do you see him meshing in AEW?
Well, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, he connects with a pretty decent fan base of his, though.
But with the guys they have over there, the CM Punks, the Daniel Bryans, the Christian Cages, all those guys, him walking in with that cocky attitude, do you think they want that there?
Probably. I mean, I would say no, because this is a great segue into our next topic, Vito. That kitchen over there in AEW is getting pretty full, right? I mean, is it not? Because we know CM Punk's there now, and we constantly have rumors. And guess what, Vito? As I'm reading this, the big rumor now that Punk is there, Daniel Bryan's going to be at All Out, their pay-per-view, right? So I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're going to get Daniel Bryan. We've heard rumors of Bray Wyatt to both AEW and Impact. I can't see him going to anywhere but AEW just because who he is, what he can do, the TV reach. And then Adam Cole recently, and I know he had his last match at TakeOver last Sunday, and he lost to O'Reilly. And I think he still had a promotional appearance Thursday for some action figures. People are speculating he goes over there too. Vito, Tony Khan is signing up wrestlers. He says he's not doing anything like WCW used to, right? But he's a known fan of how Bischoff ran WCW, and all I see him doing is bringing wrestler after wrestler after wrestler. Vito, what's going on in AEW? At some point, won't you have too many people? Aren't you going to have to let some wrestlers go? His dad, Shad, is a successful businessman, and I'm not talking about the sports teams. Those are like his hobby business ventures. I'm talking about the bumper business that he became a billionaire. He had to downsize and lay people off during hard times. And I watched his interviews. You tell me he hasn't taught that to Tony Khan at some point. Hey, build this wrestling organization, but at some point you're going to have to kind of stop and build what you have instead of keep spending. Dude, what's going on here? Because Tony Khan can do nothing wrong in a lot of people's eyes.
All right. Now, there was somebody in the chat saying Big Baller 1988 that he was in Chicago when CM Punk came to Chicago. That must have been a great experience for you because you know what? There's nothing like the roar of the crowd. I've been there through some of the biggest roars of the crowd. And the feeling you get, not only if you're a fan, you're a wrestler, but imagine being in the ring and the guy's coming towards you. So AEW signing Daniel Bryan was a foregiving conclusion before AEW even came along. Okay? Him wrestling with all his buddies who came up with, we saw that coming. The Wyatt family signing with AEW, yes, it belongs. I just saw Murphy signed with Impact, okay? But you see, that's a good signing because Murphy is that caliber wrestler. He's on that level. He didn't get over like you thought in the WWE. He got lost in his shuffle, right? He's got a good look, needs to work his way up. So where do you go? You start at the bottom of the independent scene and the non-WWE scene. So you go to Impact.
And I still feel like I know Impact, I think, is still owned by Anthem, But I have a feeling Tony Khan might be funding some of that stuff there. It's like his developmental. I don't know. Something's weird about that.
Yeah, but how many developmentals can you have? Because he says his other TVs are developmental TVs.
Yeah, I know.
And then you watch those matches, and I sit back and I'm like, are you really putting this on TV? It's some of the stuff is bad. You know, I want AEW. I'm going to rephrase my point. The stuff that's going on for the purpose that you have that TV slot is inexperienced wrestlers honing their craft, and you're giving them the chance to do it on a live TV. The best way for those guys to learn, if somebody takes them, has a class, shows them this, and gets in their ass on how to be pro wrestlers. Everybody thinks they went to train. Oh, I'm a pro. No, you're not a pro. You're an apprentice. It takes years to be a pro. You just don't go somewhere and I'm a pro. Years to learn their craft. Go ahead.
Where do you think Adam Cole's going to go? Is it going to be like that same, hey, my fiance wife is over there, Britt. My buddies are over there. Is that a foregone conclusion as well, do you think?
I think Adam Cole's going to wind up on Impact.
Really?
I don't think he is. To me, he's a tiny little. He is
like Austin Aries.
No. He's Colby Carino in a small package. That's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Right. How big of a star can you pop? Okay, you're gonna do this jump, that jump. Ricochet proved you could ever flip in the book. He's not getting over. Right? Yeah. Apollo Crews is probably one of the most agile guys who could do a flip at 240 or 250, and he's not moving the needle. He's not doing anything great. He's fluctuating. Adam Cole went to the top of a thing, but remember what got Adam Cole there? Didn't he have 4 guys with him? 3 guys with him?
It was the group, Undisputed Era.
And he was part of a team, and he had wingmen. As a single, what did you see in his last match? Was he anything to look at?
Oh,
I'm asking you if you watched it.
He always seemed to go over when he was in his group. Then when he was wrestling Kyle O'Reilly, who used to be, they were in the same group, they jobbed him. Now, granted, if his contract ended and is leaving, that's usually what happens on the way out. But yeah, he won with his group. He didn't win when he didn't have his group.
Now,
that's how they booked it.
Can you see Adam Cole going up there and carrying crosses there? Who do you think is going to win that match?
Or carrying Cross.
If Karrion Kross loses to Adam Cole, that tiny little guy, you're done. Especially in the beginning. Who is Adam Cole going to go against? He's got nobody. That's why I say all the time, bring back 205 Live, bring back Enzo, all these Adam Cole guys, Ricochet guys, you all have a place to go wrestle. But everybody hated Enzo and they forgot the big picture. Jealous bastards cost everybody a job.
Dude, and Enzo, clearly his name was cleared. We know he's a needle mover because when he left, 205 Live basically was eradicated. He was like, him and Big Cass's merch were like top 2 or 3 all the time. And they were going to do house show tours of the cruiserweights because Enzo was headlining it. You would never hear that otherwise. And this guy's working the independent scene, right? And I don't know. It's all about reputation and whose ass you kiss, Vito.
Is Enzo doing much on the independent
scene? He is with like a certain group, like Northeast Wrestling. It's called New. And they get a lot. They get like Jerry Lawler works with them a lot. So he is getting bookings. That's a pretty prominent promotion in the Midwest and the Northeast for an indie group. So he has been working there. So that's good for him. And I think Big Cass has been too. Of course, Cass was doing some stuff with Impact.
And Cass is not there no more, correct?
I haven't been watching Impact. I thought he was maybe still there, but I don't know if that was just a couple appearances or what.
Right. And they're saying in the chat, Enzo and Lola had a match recently, a casket match.
I mean, what I'm saying is, like, if Vince McMahon wants to go cartoony, why are they? He's better and big. Enzo and Cass as rehires, and they're more mature now, right? I know they had that bad track record, but I mean, I can't believe, Vince has done business with people before after the fact. Right. I think those two guys are leading candidates to go back there with this new, don't you?
I would think so, but if Vince
For merch?
McMahon, I think, but with Vince McMahon's directive and they want to find new unseen talent and develop it, like there was a group of guys who were cut that we didn't even realize were cut, right? And they let go of a lot of guys. And AEW, I don't think has signed all these guys like you think. Just for say they have 150 wrestlers.
Yeah.
Say if 50 of them are taken care of, where they have good deals.
Yep.
Right? The other 100, right? What would you do? Tony Khan, businessman, health benefits. Give everybody $1,000 a week contract, $52,000 a year. You're able to support your family. You're able to do something. For not being in the wrestling business, having $1,000 a week, why not, right? You're only wrestling once a week.
So that could be. I mean, we don't have, of course, we don't have any leaks on their. See, they're not a publicly traded company, right. So we get more information from WWE's bubble because they have to. AEW, it's kind of a mystery. I think Tony Khan only puts out information he wants Dave Meltzer to spread that makes him look good. So there's a lot of information that we'll never find out probably about AEW.
Some guys might go there and wrestle for free because they want to be on TV. Some
true.
Guys might. So if they're saying it's a developmental, right? Being in a developmental, you got to have some contractual rights. You got to have something for image and all this other stuff. Yeah. But just say if Tony Khan is smart and he's giving these guys a break, right? Say now I said 50,000. Say if he gives them 25,000 a year, it's on a bigger platform, but you're making 500 a week. Come wrestle once a week,
and they're probably still able to do indies too.
And they're able to do indies, so they don't want your indie stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, on that, I mean, if you're going to be a wrestler and you get to go to AEW and you're on the lower tier, and you have an opportunity to make $1,000 a week, you take it. You don't know where it can go. If you grow and you get better and you get bigger, your money will advance. But he's not going to pay you just to be a developmental and think you're a star. You're not.
That's true. Well, Vito, that's all I got for this week's show. Now, you got any last thoughts on your mind? Anything you'd like to share?
I think the sting of Bianca Belair losing still sticks with me. Like,
was it? Did you see what they did with her this past week? She had to win a match to get in to a fatal four-way. Like, you know what I mean? She just didn't get a rematch. She had to earn it.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they still took her out in like a cheap shot, the Carmella thing, and making her lose, I would rather have seen her go out like a champion instead of on the cheap. Now, if she gets in this fatal four-way, is Becky Lynch in the fatal four-way?
Well, she's going to I want to say that they're going to have a fatal four-way for the title. So, like, I want to say that Bianca won to get into the fatal four-way. So they're probably doing that for Becky so she can work her way back for, stamina and cardio. So they're probably going to have a multiple-person match for her, right? To keep it easier on her. That's what I think is going to happen.
And do you think that they're going to make Becky Lynch lose?
No, I don't.
So where does Bianca Belair go from here?
That's a good point.
Big drop.
They'll probably have whoever else will be in that match. Someone else will take the fall for Becky. That'll protect Bianca. Yeah, you know how they think.
Now, sometimes, guys, when you're at the top of the food chain and all of a sudden it's yanked from you, for some reason you You did something you might not have thought was that rubbed somebody the wrong way.
Yeah.
To be on the biggest stage, a SummerSlam, right? That's like number 2 pay-per-view of the year besides WrestleMania. And you just have the title yanked from you like that. Not even a build-up, not even a beat-up, not nothing.
You know what's interesting? Becky got pregnant while she was champion. And they had to just take it off of her and she left. But you know that has to stew with Vince McMahon. Yet, did she come back at the right time because she got this push? You would think she'd come back and get buried. She got pushed right back to the top. That's unlike. That's because was it because of CM Punk?
No, they don't have any stars. They have no. Who do they have?
So that's why because normally you would think WWE would bury her for something like that or be petty.
But getting pregnant, nobody in the world can predict when you're going to get pregnant. It happens to everybody, whether you work for the WWE or not. It could happen in your house.
That's true, and that could get ugly. Like that could really be a bad PR thing if they tried to bury her because of that and it was obvious, and they're publicly traded. So yeah, maybe you're right on that.
But another thing too is when you talk about your personal life, right? And you bury somebody for personal decisions. How do you bury somebody like that? And I'll give you for instance. Look at Lana and Rusev. They're doing the angle on TV. They came out, said they were engaged, pissed Vince off. They're pushing. Everything got taken away. They tried to make a funny, wind up getting self over with Rusev Day, right? Then Rusev got fired. They made Lana get hit with chairs, live in Tampa to stay close during the pandemic and had to foot that bill. And for everything she did and being a good pro, that was Maria got fired for being pregnant as well.
Well, and yeah, I saw Noel mention that Seth's a player for WWE, and maybe that's why Becky's protected.
Yeah, but you know what? Here you have Charlotte Flair. Her boyfriend was Andre, and he didn't get shit. He got the release. He got the evict, right?
That's
so he's
true.
Over there.
But he was never really anything there. Seth's been something off the Shield like Roman for a while. Maybe that's why.
Andre that big push, and they gave her the girl who had who's the girl they fired because she had the big internet thing going on. She didn't want to give it up.
That was Zelina Vega. That was Zelina Vega, but she's now back there.
No, I think Zelina Vega got released.
No, she did. Now she's back.
She just got rehired again.
She's been back for a bit on SmackDown, but she's nothing special. She's like exactly where she was before she left. Like basically like win-loss record.
Now, more the Miz and his wife, Maurice, got pregnant, right? But she wasn't doing anything prominent. She was Miz's sidekick, okay, which is cool. They had a good run. She got pregnant. Miz did his thing, but Miz has been up and down on the card as far as the Intercontinental Championship doing that. They've kept him in good standing. You know what I mean? They kept him in good angles. Rosa got fired for being pregnant. There are people, you can't fire people for advancing their personal lives. What do you do?
WWE always picks and chooses, it looks like.
You can't, wrestling has been funny. When wrestling has changed from where Matt Riddle wants to challenge somebody now, I'll even go this far. If Matt Riddle was 30 years ago and he was doing this, and he walked into that dressing room with a Johnny Rods, the Iron Sheik, Haku, Hercules Hernandez, I can go a Ken Shamrock. What's his name? The karate guy, Black.
Steve Blackman.
Those guys fucking tough.
Yeah, you don't need to even mention anymore. You mentioned enough.
But you talk about guys like that. How about a Paul Orndorff? I can kick your ass. You don't move the needle. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't hear anybody say that stuff back then.
No.
And if you did, that's why you never heard of them, because they ended up being nothing.
Yeah, but do you realize I've been in with the best and the toughest wrestlers in the world, and this is the truth, guys. And this is so true. And you could be tough, right? I was a tough wrestler. I was tough, but there was always something about me. Like, okay, I could talk it, I could back it up. When it came time to wrestle those tough wrestlers, right? You had a mutual respect for each other. And once you felt each other, you knew, okay, this guy can handle himself and this guy can handle Japan, and you wrestle a Tenru. That guy's legit. When he's your partner, like he was my partner, and you have two formidable guys in there just going in there and you're wrestling. And you're wrestling in the main events against Suzuki and Sasaki and like all these other guys and Amore. Those are legit tough guys. They're legit tough. You don't go saying this shit. Get your ass kicked. Imagine going to Puerto Rico. And I'll give you a story. The guy who passed away, his name was Rex King, Sexy Rexy, right? He was with the Doll, with the Steve Doll and Rex King. They had the tag team of, I can't think of it. All right, anyway, he's in Puerto Rico, and Rex King was known to give the flying back kick where you run in and you give a super kick backwards. He used to hurt a bunch of guys, and guys told him, listen, you can't do this. You know, you're hurting me. Guy, but yeah, fuck, you know. Well done. There you go. Well done. Thank you. So
Clutch.
when he went to Japan, he went to All Japan. He thought he could do that. The tour was 28 days. He got the shit beat out of him for 28 days because he did it to one Japanese wrestler, didn't apologize, didn't do nothing, right? You go in there and you want to be tough and you want to wrestle, they know that you know. It was in one tour when I wrestled for NWE. No. NEW, now, NOW.
Yeah.
One of the wrestlers came up to me and he said, Vito, this guy is not doing anything to me. He's not selling. He's not doing. I says, you're not wrestling him tough. I says, he's not going to respect you because they're taught to respect tough guys. He said, but you go out there and you have these matches with these guys. That's because I'm wrestling. I'm giving it back to them. I said, if they're not going to sell, I'm making them sell, but I know how to do it in the correct manner.
Mm-hmm.
I says, you got to go out there and get your respect. He says, okay, Vito, I'll do it. He goes out the next match and he came out like a fucking ball of fire and he's firing up. He says, Vito, you're right. He says, the guy sold me. I says, yeah. I says, now the Japanese will respect you a little bit, but you got to keep doing this style. My first tour of Japan, I'm in the Ribera Steakhouse with the NOW, right? Kendo Nagasaki. I go into Ribera, never seen Japanese wrestling before. Scott Norton and Stan Hansen on the screen. I'm standing there with Kevin Sullivan. My mouth was like this. I'm a rookie. My second year in wrestling. All I know is WWE and Puerto Rico, right? Independence. I go over and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Scott Norton and Stan Hansen were big guys. Vito, you were trained by Johnny Rods. You're either going to fight or you're going to get your ass kicked. He says, I know you could do this. But my mouth dropped because I'd never wrestled like that.
Yeah.
I wrestled a certain style. Come from Puerto Rico is a certain style. You go to Japan and you're like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And these are guys in Japan back in that day, they were men with men bodies who were thick. You couldn't hurt. You had to hit them to hurt them. Thank God I had a little bit of size on me so I could handle myself. But once you learn how to fight, you're good. And if they know you could take it, you don't cry, you're even better. Yes, sir. Vito-san, how are you? Fine. Do you know that Mr. Tenru, I was his tag partner, true story, one of my chores, calls me up, Vito-san, you come eat. Yeah, but Mr. Tenru, I see you in 2 minutes. Hang up the phone. Vito-san, you have dinner. Like it was an honor for them to buy me. It was a mutual respect thing. He liked me, Mr. Tenru. And I tagged with him, Thank you, Mr. Tenru. I greatly appreciate it. Everything's on. And you smart guy, you come by, Mr. Tenru. I said, Mr. Tenru, what are we talking about? I know. What they used to do to all the green guys was when they come by, they fill your glass with sake and whatever liquor, and they want to see how much you could take before you throw up, right? So I got hip to this, and I was like, I can't do this. This is killing me. So there you go. Vito-san, you come. No, medication, Ken. Mr. Tenru, you come by today. And I used to get all the Japanese drunk, and they used to laugh, right? Every time I walked in the dressing room the next day, you knew they were hurting because, Vito-san, you something, Vito-san. And I would laugh because what they would try to do to me, I had to do with them. But that's a mutual respect thing, guys. Mutual respect. And that's what lost sometimes in the business. You never knock a champion. Always put them over. It'd be great to meet you for the title one day. RKBRO against Roman Reigns and his tribe. You just made a match.
Yep. You heard it there first from Big Vito LaGrasso, who actually was there.
Exactly.
Folks, great show. Of course, we do this each and every week. Be sure to follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. Check out patreon.com/the Big Vito Brand, where we also do Men of Business. And I also do a show with Dr. Jargo called Virtue's Rage. But thank you for listening or watching, wherever it may be. For Big Vito LaGrasso, I am Virtue. I'm also on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue. Have a good evening, a good day, whenever you watch this. But thank you for watching, and we will be back again next time.